of 11 when he got pulled with 2 bad drops. Can you explain that play calling for us after the first drive, please?
After the first drive, second drive, we were 3 and out. After that, we had 2 coming out situations inside the 5-yard line. So my play calling was reflective of those situations. Tyler certainly is not to blame for our struggles offensively. He knows what the deal is, but bottom line is only scoring 7 points through the first half and into the third quarter there. Discussion was made, and Coach Dantonio made the final call to go with Damian.
Do you have an open quarterback competition now, or is Tyler your starter next week?
That's something you have to bring up with the head coach. He makes those final decisions. But again, Tyler, I thought he played fairly well the first half. Threw the ball well, and again, there were some drops there for sure that didn't help him. So it's a team game, and we need everybody in making plays.
Dave, what were those discussions? What were you hoping Damian could give you? And obviously Tyler has outplayed him, I'm guessing, in practice to keep the job to this point. What's your hope with him, I guess?
Well, it was just a situation that the discussion basically was, as I mentioned, the points on the board are really what the quarterback's measured on. Is he moving the team? Is he getting in the end zone? And again, it includes the whole football team, but everybody looks at the quarterback. So that was really the main thing there with making a change. And, we'll see what happens as we move forward.
Dave, what happened in the third quarter, specifically after they kicked the ball out of bounds? What went wrong on that drive?
I'm not remembering the drive after the first drive after halftime. Got the ball. I don't remember all the details to it, but I think we got a first down. First play action pass. Started running the ball a little bit, but I can't remember the exact details of why we ended up punting. But I think that's where we might have a drop pass in that series, and then didn't convert on third down, if I remember right.
So, Dave, just to be clear, were you in favor of pulling Tyler, or was that solely Coach Dantonio's decision?
It's always a team decision. Coach Salem, the quarterback coach, is very much involved. I'm involved, and Coach Dantonio is involved.
Dave, here in the middle. Gerald started at running back. You guys, flip-flopped him and LJ at times. Is this a thing where he's going to be the guy right now?
Again, that's something we need to evaluate. Gerald had an excellent. He played well in situations last week. Had a really good week of practice, and we thought he deserved to start. So we'll see after we evaluate the film and go from there.
Coach, just 20 points in 8 quarters here at home the last 2 games. You're saying it's not on Tyler O'Connor solely, but collectively, what is going wrong on offense? Why is this unit misfiring so much?
I think you go back and you dissect it over the last 3 weeks, and it is truly a breakdown here, breakdown there. Myself all the way down, almost myself included. It's either a bad decision by the quarterback, or it's a missed block and protection by the offensive line, or a missed block in the run game, or a drop pass, or a misread, or a bad call by me. I mean, it is total team effort that's not getting it done.
Anything else, guys? One last one here.
Hey, Dave, on that opening drive, I think you guys covered the last 24 yards with, I think, 3 straight powers. The power was working for you early in the game.
Yeah.
Where do you think that went the rest of the game? I know you tried, but why did that not succeed in the third and shorts? A couple of third and short runs didn't get converted. Did you see what went wrong on those?
No, I have to see the film. I know in the third and short coming out, our second coming out there with third and short, that we sort of went hurry up. We're just, we're not staying on blocks. So, we got to stay on blocks up front. Okay, thanks.
Check, 1, 2, test, test. Getting it? Awesome. Obviously, very disappointing today for us, day for us. As I told our football team after the game, I believe this program has been built on a pretty solid foundation. It's taken 9 years to do that. It's taken that long to get to where we've been. And the ride up the mountain is very difficult at times, and that ride down sometimes is very quick. So the reality is that we're a 2-3 football team. Should we handle ourselves with conviction? Those are the things we need to do to be able to turn this thing around. But when you look at the football game itself, I would say probably the first half, we go down the field and score, 15-play drive. That's pretty much the end of that situation. We had bad field position 2 times, coming out inside the 5 twice, so 95 yards away from a score. But one series set us back. Didn't perform well, whether it was a holding call or a problem with snap or whatever the case was. So we had 4 series in the first half. It's 10-7 at the end of the third quarter. We're sort of hanging defensively, and then all of a sudden we just couldn't tackle them anymore. So got to get off the field on third down. Didn't have a sack. Trying to create situations where we have sacks. So whether it's structure or whether it's ability or execution, you got to evaluate that. Got to come up with turnovers. You'd think one of them would fall in our lap at some point in time, but that has not happened. The reality of the situation, we crossed the 52 times on offense. We scored both touchdowns, but that's not nearly enough to win a football game. So you've got to look at different things and challenge each other and challenge yourself as a coach to get things squared away. But with that being said, I want to congratulate BYU. They kept playing, and as the game continued to wear on, they seemed to get a little stronger, especially in the fourth quarter, and with their ability to run the football. Williams had a great game, saying all week long, it's a good running back. Taysom Hill, got out of problems a number of times and made runs. Good quarterback. So we've got to be able to eliminate those things. But I'll take questions.
Coach, 3 points allowed through halftime. Defense was holding its own. Second half, it turns. Is there an identifiable kind of turning point that you could observe, or was it a cumulative effect because they had the ball 8 more minutes than you did?
Tough to say without watching the film, because there were some big plays, especially at the end. 2 big plays in the game that got them 24 and then the 31. But you got chances to get off the field on third down and 7 or 6 or 8 or whatever it is, and you got to look to see exactly why that didn't happen. Whether it was pass rush lanes, whether a couple times the quarterback scrambled, one time he found a guy on a late crossing route. We should have had somebody out there on that. So you got to get off the field on those situations, and some of this other stuff doesn't happen. But it was a long drive in the third quarter by BYU, which got to get off the field. And I think maybe 3 times it was third down. But that's why we have to go back. We have to look at things and evaluate what we did, who we did it with, how we did it, and we ask ourselves, was it execution? What exactly did happen? But again, it's disappointing. Very disappointed locker room right now.
Mark, on that first drive, it looked like you were achieving what you wanted to do. You wanted to get O'Connor into a rhythm. He's throwing the ball, and you had a beautiful drive there. And then I know that what they give you in field position is going to dictate other decisions. But then you went to the run, and O'Connor only threw a couple of more passes, a couple of sacks, and he's out of there. Can you tell us what changed here?
Yeah, coming off the 5-yard line twice is probably the last 2 drives of the first half. We had to run the football there, I believe, at some point. And then in the second half, it was the sacks. And the bottom line is production. At some point in time, you have to be productive. And if you're not productive and you've got 7 points on the board, then you've got to make a change for the sake of change. I don't think he was playing that badly. I really don't. But we can't take the sacks. We've got to get a guy that can get out of there, or whatever the case, or whatever. But at that point in time, it's 10-7. I think it went to 17-7, I believe, before we made the change. And I just felt like we had to go, and, I don't want a quarterback controversy. Tyler's done a great job leading. He's been okay. He hadn't been poor. But I felt like, hey, we needed to do something for the sake of change at that point in time. I don't think Damian Terry went in there and lost the football game. So, if anything, what happened in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, was I think a defensive meltdown as much as anything too. But it's all inclusive. It always is. There's a lot of blame to go around. There's a lot of things that you can say, hey, this happened or that happened, whether it's offense, defense, whatever it is, special teams, whatever it is. But didn't make them fun enough, I can tell you that. So all these things, like I tell our football team, or I tell our players all the time, hey, if you think you got it bad now, it can always get worse. I promise you, it'll always get worse. You need to find a way out of the hole.
Mark, you referenced production. You were playing the 120th ranked passing defense in America, and you come out on the attack. You throw 8 passes in the first drive, only won the rest of the half. Tyler finishes 7 of 11, but with 2 very bad drops, so technically 9 and 11, and he gets pulled. Do you also need to be looking at the production of your offensive play calling, and do you need to take an introspective look at your game plan and how plays are called?
I think you look at everything involved. I've already said that. It's not one person's fault. It's a cumulative effect. And so that's play calling, that's structure, that's execution. That's all of it, But at that point in time, I felt like we needed to make a move. I don't like to make. Last thing I want to do is create controversy. But I just felt like we needed to have something happen, and we needed to provide a spark and have something happen. And somebody else needed an opportunity. Damian Terry came into the season with the idea that he was going to take some reps, and we were going to sort of give him a series or two. So it wasn't out of the picture that we shouldn't see him perform some. And he did some decent things and took us down the field on one drive. Had a poor throw, I believe, on the interception. When the dig comes open, you go through, whatever. Sit here and look at it from field level like you guys did. So, but point taken. I'm not here to blame Tyler O'Connor for this loss. It's not his fault that we lost. That's the question, or the comment.
You said you don't want a quarterback controversy going forward, but do you consider Tyler your starter for next week?
We evaluate things. We have to evaluate exactly who did what, and then evaluate practice.
Coach, Gerald Holmes got many carries in the first half, and he was grinding out yards. He had a very exceptional first half. He scored the only touchdown in the first half, and then he saw limited action in the second half. So what made you want to go in a different direction with that?
I don't think that he saw limited action. He was in there. I think that the game sort of turned with a long drive defensively against us, their offense against our defense. L.J. Scott, I think, had 3 carries. I think Mondre had 1. So Gerald was in there. L.J.'s a good player. L.J.'s been our starter, been a spark. Mondre's been a good player for us, too. I don't really have a great answer for you on that one. I think the game turned, and with 8 minutes to go, when we went down 24-7, we needed 3 series to be able to get back in the game, so it became a 2-minute type game and a passing game. So, you go from 10-7 at the end of the third quarter to all of a sudden 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, so in 7 minutes' time, it's 24-7. We need 3 series, and we can't afford to run the football and just, milk the clock. And we had 3 timeouts. We scored. Felt like kick it away, 3 timeouts, get the ball back around midfield or so. They had their hands team on the field, so kick it away. I can't remember what they actually started at, but we got a chance to tackle the quarterback. He slips us, gets a first down. So those are the problems that you deal with, and they're one play at a time problems.
Mark, how much did the injury situation that you guys had on defense and the guys you had out affect you after those long drives? And secondly, when you started losing other guys on both sides of the ball, did that contribute to some of this today?
Well, I mean, we've got some guys out, but that's not a crutch just in terms of how we've played football. We've got other players, and we've got to look deeper. So, I know we played Justin Lane the second half almost exclusively, I believe, certainly in the fourth quarter. He had a good week of practice. We moved him over to corner, looked at him. I like him, so we played him. But I can't tell you who played, who's got nicked up. I know we're rolling a lot of different defensive linemen in there. Our linebacker situation, we're rolling people in as well. I think our secondary is pretty status quo with the exception of that one substitution.
Mark, I got a follow-up question for what Hondo asked you. As you said during the game, you pulled Tyler O'Connor because you felt like the team needed a change. When you review the film, is there a possible scenario that you could see the same as in regard to play calling, where maybe you take over play calling for a game just to try and change things up?
No, I'm not going to do that. Absolutely not. That will not happen.
Mark, how does this team get some sacks and takeaways, and what do you do about the tackling problem?
Well, we pressed the pocket a number of times, and he stepped up in the pocket. So, again, it's hard to say from field level exactly what happens. You got to push the pocket inside as well, so he can't step up. So it looked like it separated itself, and he stepped up in the pocket, and he made a couple runs. He made a couple throws like that. I think we had some times we had pressure on him, and we didn't get him down. As far as what we ran, it's all sort of running through my head right now. We pressured a lot. We played base. We tried about, we did a lot of stuff. He's a running quarter. He can run. He's got power. He's a power type runner, and he ran through some tackles. I think Williams ran through some tackles, obviously, but he was downhill in the A gap. It was gap integrity, which means you've got to stay in your gap, whether you're stunning to your gap or a line in your gap. You got to play the correct leverage in that particular position. So I know our linebackers got cut a couple times, and the nose tackle got cut on the long run, and it went downhill. So you can't allow the ball to be run straight downhill on you like that. Hasn't happened much, honest, in the past number of years. But as I said, we got to go back and look at things structurally and everything else, play calling, everything. It's troubling. Usually they come in batches, but the ball didn't come out, and we didn't get any tips. We didn't pick any. So, give BYU credit. I mean, if we were the other way around, I'd be sitting here saying, wow, we didn't have any turnovers. We did a great job. So I guess I got to say that as well. But you got to get turnovers to win in football too. We ended up -1, and that's a big one because that was the one, I believe, that went down to 17. That was the other big play. They took it down to about the 30. They needed to make them kick a field goal, and we did not. So it was 10-7 at that point. We make them kick a field goal, it's 13-7. We're right still in the game.
Coach, I know you sort of touched on this already, but what made Jamal Williams so difficult to stop?
Well, he's a great running back. He runs through tackles. I think as much as anything, he was downhill in a hurry, vertical when he was running laterally, but he ran with power. So we have to tackle better. We have to do better, but he's a very good running back.
Mark, how did it impact the game plan not having Malik for the first half, and what did you see from him in his return and what he was able to do out there?
Well, it impacted the first half to some degree, but we made our way through it. They had 3 points at the end of the first half, and really probably should have had 0. If we got off the field on third down twice, they got 0. So we hung in there the second half. I have to look at everything. He's playing the second half. I know he made some plays, but got to look at everything that we do. Thank you.